The 6 best exercises to grow the upper chest after 40. There is no great-looking chest when 1/3 of it is forgotten. And that is exactly what happens with most people. The reason is simple. The upper chest is possibly the hardest region to develop in the entire body. And unfortunately, it is also the region that most defines the aesthetics of a truly impressive chest. That is why today you will see the 6 best exercises to solve this once and for all. Obviously, there's no need to do all of them, since 6 exercises for just one part of the chest would be madness. The ideal approach is to watch until the end, understand each one, and try to include in your weekly routine the 2 or 3 that suit you best. Before we begin, leave a comment below with your name and your main training challenge right now. We will do our best to read as many comments as possible. Exercise number 1, low cable crossover. If there is a movement capable of placing the upper chest under tension from start to finish, that movement is the low cable crossover. Unlike exercises with dumbbells or a barbell, where tension drops precisely at the point of greatest contraction, here the cable keeps the resistance constant throughout the entire range of motion, which means more stimulus for that stubborn fiber you want so badly to develop. Muscle recruitment happens mainly in the clavicular portion of the chest, with the anterior deltoid participating as a stabilizer. To perform it, position the pulleys at the lowest point of the cable tower. Grip the handles with your arms slightly bent, and pull diagonally, crossing your hands in front of your chest at chin height. Think of hugging a large barrel and bringing your arms toward the center, always controlling the eccentric phase on the way back. The extra tip here is simple and few people apply it. Keep your elbow slightly bent throughout the entire movement, without locking it out or bending it too much, because that shifts the work to the triceps and reduces the stimulus on the chest. A mistake I see many people make is using excessive weight and compensating with trunk swinging, which removes tension from the muscle and overloads the lower back. Another common mistake is pulling the hands too high, above shoulder level, turning the exercise into something that works the deltoid more than the chest. For those who have been training for decades, this exercise is practically mandatory because it offers a guided and predictable movement path, which reduces the risk of compensations that the shoulder joint, already worn from years of training, no longer tolerates the way it did at 20. Perform 3 to 4 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions, always seeking the mind-muscle connection before increasing the weight. Contraindications. People with a history of shoulder impingement or rotator cuff injuries should reduce the range of motion at the final phase of the crossover, avoiding bringing the hands beyond the center line of the body, as that position can irritate already sensitive structures. It is worth reinforcing a detail that many people ignore. A slight scapular retraction at the beginning of the movement creates a more stable base for the shoulders to work from, protecting the joint from unnecessary overload throughout the entire set. As a progression, the safest path is not simply to increase the weight, but rather to reduce the rest interval between sets, going from 60 to 45 seconds while maintaining the same quality of execution. Exercise number 2, decline push-up. This is an exercise commonly underestimated, but one that delivers excellent results for anyone who wants to target the upper chest without depending on heavy equipment. Most people associate push-ups only with general chest, shoulder, and triceps work. But when you elevate your feet above the level of your hands, the angle of your body shifts a good portion of the demand precisely to the upper chest. To perform it, rest your feet on a bench or elevated surface and your hands on the floor, slightly wider than shoulder width. Lower your torso in a controlled manner until your chest almost touches the floor and push back up, keeping your core engaged throughout the movement so your hips do not drop. The extra tip is to start with a moderate foot elevation and gradually increase it, since the greater the incline, the greater the demand on the shoulder and wrist. A common mistake is letting the elbows flare out too much, forming almost a right angle with the torso, which places unnecessary stress on the shoulder joint. Remember that the elbow should follow a path closer to the body, at around 45 degrees. Another frequent slip is losing core rigidity, letting the hips sink, which reduces the efficiency of the exercise and can also cause lower back discomfort. The great advantage of this movement for those who are over 40 is the ability to regulate intensity simply by changing the height of the feet, without needing to switch equipment or take risks with heavy free weights. Progress by gradually increasing the foot elevation, or by going from 2 to 3 sets before seeking more repetitions. 3 to 4 sets of 10 to 15 repetitions are recommended, and the last set can be taken close to technical failure. Contraindications. People with active wrist pain should use push-up handles or parallel bars to keep the wrist in a neutral position, and those with significant shoulder mobility limitations should reduce the foot elevation to avoid forcing excessive range of motion. And here is a confession with absolutely no shame. The first time I tried to decline push-up with my feet quite high, I discovered in practice that my core was not as ready as my ego imagined. That serves as a lesson. Start with a moderate elevation, respect the adaptation phase, and only then think about making the exercise more challenging. Scapular retraction at the beginning of the movement also helps keep the shoulders protected, even in a bodyweight exercise. Exercise number 3, incline machine chest press. After 40, training with intelligence is just as important as training with intensity. And that is exactly why the incline machine chest press deserves a prominent place in your routine. The guided path of the equipment eliminates much of the instability present in free weight exercises, allowing you to get close to muscular failure with much greater safety, without depending on a training partner to do so. This exercise intensely works the upper chest, while also recruiting the anterior deltoid and triceps as synergists. To perform it correctly, adjust the seat so that the handles are aligned with the upper chest, not with the shoulder. Push the weight forward without fully locking out the elbow at the top of the movement, and control the descent until you feel a comfortable stretch in the chest. The extra tip that makes a real difference is to test 2 or 3 seat heights before settling on your ideal position, because an adjustment of just a few inches completely changes which portion of the chest receives the most stimulus. A common mistake is simply copying someone else's adjustment at the gym without testing what works for your own body type. Another mistake is excessively arching the lower back during execution in an attempt to push more weight, which removes stability and can cause spinal discomfort. When you include this exercise at the beginning of your workout, while you still have full energy, you tend to achieve much cleaner technique than if you leave it for the end of the session. For those who have decades of training behind them, this exercise considerably reduces joint stress compared to the free barbell bench press, making it an excellent choice for days of greater fatigue or when you want to train heavy without the added risk of losing bar stability. Perform 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions, adjusting the weight whenever you manage to complete all repetitions with ease in the last set. Contraindications. People with significant shoulder impingement should raise the seat higher and reduce the final range of motion, avoiding bringing the arms beyond the body line during the eccentric phase. Remember that breathing is also part of correct execution. Inhale during the controlled descent and exhale at the moment of the push, keeping the core slightly engaged to give more stability to the spine. Regular practitioners can notice after a few weeks that the connection between breathing and movement considerably improves the quality of the contraction at the top of the movement. Exercise number 4. Incline cable fly inside the cable crossover. If the low cable crossover is already excellent, imagine combining that constant tension with the adjustable incline of a bench. That is exactly what this exercise delivers. The ability to dial in the exact angle that best recruits your upper chest, something that fixed machines simply do not allow. Position the incline bench at 30 to 45 degrees inside the cable tower, with the pulleys adjusted to the low position. lie down and grip one handle in each hand, starting with your arms open and slightly bent. Bring your hands upward toward the center of your chest as if you were hugging something large, and return while controlling the eccentric phase without letting your arms drop below shoulder level. What many people do not know is that the key to this exercise lies in maintaining the same elbow bend angle from start to finish, without turning the movement into a kind of press. The extra tip is to imagine that your arms are two rigid rods moving only through the shoulder joint. A frequent mistake is using too much weight, which forces the body to recruit the deltoid to complete the movement, taking the focus away from the chest that was the original goal. Remember that in this specific exercise, less weight with impeccable execution delivers far superior results compared to heavy weight performed sloppily. As a specific recommendation for this exercise, prefer to perform it with the bench in a pec deck machine when available, because with free dumbbells, if you make careless mistakes such as losing control during the stretching phase, that can pose real risks to the elbow and shoulder. The cable version already resolves much of that problem, but attention to technique remains essential. 3 sets of 12 to 15 repetitions are recommended, prioritizing control over weight. Contraindications. People with a history of shoulder instability should limit the range of motion during the stretching phase, avoiding bringing the arms beyond the torso line, as that specific point is where the joint is most vulnerable. One advantage that few people explore is the freedom to test small variations in the bench angle over the weeks, alternating between 30 and 45 degrees, which allows slightly different fibers within the upper chest to be recruited and prevents the body from adapting too much to the same repeated stimulus workout after workout. Before we continue, do not forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Having constant access to science-based information is what will make you progress with health over the long term in the world of exercise. Exercise number 5, incline dumbbell bench press. This is, without a doubt, one of the pillars of any serious routine focused on the upper chest, and the reason goes beyond tradition. Electromyography studies show that activation of the clavicular portion of the chest tends to be greatest when the bench is set between 30 and 45 degrees of incline, which reinforces why this specific angle is so widely recommended by those who truly understand the subject. The incline dumbbell bench press works the upper chest, anterior deltoid, and triceps, with the advantage of allowing a greater range of motion than the barbell version, since the dumbbells are not limited by contact between them at the lowest point. To perform it, lie on the inclined bench with your feet flat on the floor, retract your scapulae slightly, and press the dumbbells upward without letting them touch at the top, controlling the descent carefully until you feel the stretch in the chest. The beauty of this exercise lies in its ability to correct imbalances between the two sides of the body, since each arm works independently. A common mistake is choosing an exaggerated incline, above 60 degrees, which shifts a good portion of the work to the deltoid and reduces the stimulus on the chest, even if the sense of effort feels greater. Another mistake is lowering the dumbbells too quickly during the eccentric phase, which increases the risk of injury precisely in the tendons that no longer recover as quickly as they once did. You will know you are doing it correctly when you feel the deep stretch of the chest at the lowest point, without pain in the shoulder joint. 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions are recommended, progressing by increasing the weight only when you can complete all sets with good technique. Contraindications. Those with impingement or chronic shoulder pain should reduce the final range of the descent and consider switching to the machine version, and should always train with a weight that allows full control, avoiding working close to failure without someone nearby to assist. I have observed that practitioners over 40 who prioritize scapular retraction before starting each repetition report far less joint discomfort over the months, even while maintaining relatively heavy weights. It is a small adjustment in execution, but one that makes a real difference in the longevity of your joints within chest training. Exercise number 6, incline dumbbell fly. Closing the list with an isolation exercise that is practically irreplaceable for anyone who wants that defined contour in the upper chest. Unlike the compound movements covered earlier, the goal here is not to push weight, but rather to isolate the clavicular portion of the chest as much as possible through a wide and controlled arc of motion. To perform it, lie on the incline bench set between 30 and 45 degrees. Hold the dumbbells with your arms slightly bent and open them laterally until you feel a comfortable stretch in the chest, returning along the same path without bending the elbow further on the way up. That detail is what separates a well-executed fly from a disguised bench press. A mistake I see many people make is precisely bending the elbow more near the lowest point and then pushing the weight back up, turning the fly into a partial bench press, which robs much of the isolation stimulus the exercise was supposed to provide. As a specific recommendation, it is preferable to perform this exercise on a pec deck machine whenever possible. Because with dumbbells, if you make careless mistakes such as opening the arms too wide or losing control during the stretching phase, that can pose real risks to the elbow, especially for those who have been training for many years and have accumulated joint wear over time. The machine removes much of that risk variable, keeping the movement path fixed and more predictable. 3 sets of 12 to 15 repetitions are recommended, taking the last set close to technical failure, since as an isolation exercise, the risk of systemic overload is lower than in compound movements. Contraindications. People with elbow tendinopathy or anterior shoulder instability should prioritize the machine version, avoiding free dumbbells until the technique is completely consolidated and pain-free during execution. The reason for this elbow risk is simple to understand. When the arm locks out or extends too much at the point of greatest stretch, especially under load, the joint receives a sudden tension precisely in the position where it is most vulnerable. Maintaining constant elbow flexion without abrupt variations throughout the execution resolves practically all of that risk. And that is why it is worth reinforcing this detail one final time before closing our list for today. If you enjoyed this and want to also see some other careless mistakes that most men make that prevent them from ever developing this region of the chest, we have left a video appearing right now on the screen that covers that in more detail. Thank you for watching until the end, and may God bless you, my friend.